Alrighty, well, welcome to this evening's Monday night team training. We have with us Triple Ambassador Mal Sword, who you all know very, very well. And he has a wealth of knowledge, not just within ASEA, but really a whole entire career of success in this industry. And tonight is going to be a masterclass on contacting. And the reason why that's important is because contacting is really one of the highest, if not the highest, yielding activities that we can do. It really is what separates the people who grow from the people who perhaps don't. And we're going to be asking, we haven't rehearsed this, I've just put down some questions that I, as a builder, would love to know about contacting, and we've got Mal in the hot seat. Just to give you a little bit of background on Mal, Mal got started, I'm going to ask him in a moment to tell us about himself, but Mal got started with ASEA, really building about 3.5 years ago. Is that right, Mal?
No, about 4.5.
Oh, 4.5 years ago.
February 2016.
Awesome. And then within a really short amount of time, he has been able to go from, at that time, he won't mind me saying, he was bankrupt, he had really lost everything, to now being one of the most successful people with ASEA, ranked right at the very top for growth constantly every year, and realizing the dreams of so many people in his team, helping many people to grow, and in the process of doing so has developed a 7-figure cash flow. So I know for myself, when I'm wanting to achieve something, I'm going to go and reach out to somebody who's already done it rather than reinvent the wheel. And that's why Mal's in the hot seat. So welcome, Mal.
Thank you. Good to be with you, and good to be with everybody all over the world. So it's just interesting to see all the different locations of people all over the world. So for those of you who don't speak very good English, I will try and talk a little bit slowly because I generally talk quite fast. So I'm going to slow it down a bit. But welcome. Lovely to have you here.
Awesome. So let us know firstly, perhaps for those that maybe don't know you, a little bit about yourself, where you were at before ASEA and what drew you to ASEA.
So that could be a long answer. What drew me to ASEA was I had no option. It was more than that. It was from an initial contact back in 2014 when I met Virtus Norton for the first time, and I wasn't in the looking zone for a business at that stage when Danny and I first went there. But what I can tell everybody was my heart was drawn to doing business with Virtus Norton. My head said at the time that it couldn't. I was involved in another business. The timing wasn't right. Circumstances changed, and it forced me from not being in the looking zone into the looking zone. And so that was kind of late 2015, and then of course the company launched in Australia in 2016 February, and that's when I started the journey. But what was the other thing that was kind of important for people to understand was that I didn't have a lot of back doors. There was not very many other options that I had. I was at that stage considering driving for Uber, but my car was too old. So that kind of gives you a sense of where I was. When I started, I was not in a good place. So, and my early days with ASEA were not, you wouldn't say I was the fastest growing ASEA associate. I certainly wasn't, because I had to work on me again. So, but anyway, that's how I came. So I started February 2016. And
just briefly, why ASEA? Of the different opportunities, I know plenty of people had come to you constantly with different opportunities. Why this company? And still do. I mean, I'm contacted constantly about lots of different things. So from a position of some experience, I've now had 28 years in the industry. There's a number of reasons why I see it. For me, one of the most, if not the most important reason that you would embark or engage in a company like ASEA or a business like this, a network marketing company, is to know who owns the company. You can have the best products. You can have, and I don't doubt there are many very good products. I know there are very many good products out there and a great compensation plan. But for me, one of the most important things is who owns the company. And being in business with Virtus Norton, Tyler Norton now, and the corporate executive team, I am 100% believer in who these people are. I trust them implicitly.
And for me, that's a very important part of building a business. If you go on from that, we have a protected technology. We don't compete with anybody. It's an entrepreneur's dream, really, to have a technology that nobody competes with. We don't have competitors in this space. If you're in the super juice industry, and again, they're very good super juice, and there's 146 of them. That market is very crowded, very competitive. And with ASEA, we don't have any competition. Now, we do have to create the market. So there's pushback on that, of course, because it's new. People don't know about it. People are dubious. They don't know enough about it as yet. But on the flip side of that, we are in a very protected space. Compensation plan is incredible. So for me, it ticks every box. From 28 years of experience, and there's many other people on the call that are very well experienced, like Coppo, many people of Andy Leishman, 30-year veterans in the industry that would say the same thing, that for us that have been in the industry a long time, we'll never see another ASEA again. And we recognize it for that. And so it ticks every box. If I was to put all the list of the key features, ASEA, and I'm not saying it's perfect, nothing's perfect, nothing is perfect, but it's as close to perfect as that I've had in my now 40-year career in business. This is the most incredible opportunity that I've seen in my career so far. It's unbelievable.
It sure is, and we are seeing faster results for all those reasons you've mentioned. We are seeing consistently faster results in terms of income, in terms of growth, in terms of numbers in this company than you and I have ever seen in any other company we've been involved with, and we've known anyone else to be involved with. I mean, I don't know anyone that's achieved a 7-figure income in 3 to 4 years in another company. I really don't.
No, I think we need to be careful a little bit and with that, because I did come with 500 years of experience, and so can anybody do that? Yes, I believe anybody can, if they're prepared to work on themselves, probably as much as I worked on myself and still do work on myself. But can everybody do that in that short period of time? Well, look, the answer is probably not everybody can. No, let's put that on the table. But here's the thing: if it takes somebody 6 years to do it, is that okay? If it takes them 6.5 years, one of the questions people often ask me about, having success with ASEA is, what are my chances of being successful with ASEA and having a significant, even a 6-figure passive income? I said, well, maybe you want to ask the other question, or maybe I can ask you another question. What are your chances of doing that without ASEA? How have you gone so far given that you've been working 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Have you been able to do that? So ASEA is not on trial. There's plenty of evidence for people that are making 6 and 7. I don't doubt 5 years there'll be people making 8 figures a year out of the ASEA business. Oh. It's really us. It's really about the individual who brings certain gifts, preparedness to change, resilience, guts, courage to the table when you build a business like this. Number one reason why people do well with a business like this is they know exactly what they're doing here. And they've got a very clearly defined reason, dream, passion, something that they want badly enough, and you've got to be emotionally involved in that. It won't be a new washing machine or a new set of tires for your Volkswagen car. It's going to be something of high emotion. And it needs to be that, if I could just share this with you, because when you build a business like this, it's naive to think that you're not going to deal with a lot of resistance from the market. You are. You're going to deal with a lot of people saying no to you. Still to this day, I have more people saying, and people, that I think sometimes people think when you get to a certain level, everybody says yes to me. Au contraire. I deal with more people saying, it doesn't change. They don't know what the level is. So, and it's the resilience to that builds a business like this, and other factors like discipline and focus and consistency. Those are the kind of things. Anyway, I'm kind of digressing, but no,
this is really good. And look, the reason why I mentioned what you've been able to achieve in the amount of time is because it's good to know what's possible, and it is exciting to know what's possible. Just before we jump into the nitty-gritty of contacting, can I ask you, because this is a question you were touching on then, what kind of people make it in ASEA? You know, can anyone really make it in ASEA? And what are the markers you look for in people who are successful in ASEA?
So the answer to the question is yes, everybody can make it. The battle, the struggle to build a business like this is an inside job. It's not an outside job. It never has been. It's always the individual. It's always what goes on inside that person that will determine whether they have success, whether you're experienced or not experienced. We have people that are ambassador diamonds with ASEA in this country that have had no network marketing experience. You don't need experience. There's three things I look for when I look for somebody to work with, or I'm going to invest my time with people. Three things that I want to find. I want to find a why that makes them cry. Often I'll have people in tears, not intentionally, but what I do is I probe and ask, what is it you really want? What are you doing here? What is it that you want your life to look like? What is the emotional driver that you want to have and to produce from a business like this? And I look for that. I ask and I dig to find an emotional response so that it's not, well, I want to be financially free. Being financially free means different things to different people. It's nondescript. The brain doesn't really understand what that means. I know what people are talking about. Really, being financially free is having more money coming in than going out, and it's passive. In other words, you've got a residual income that's coming in, and you've got a lot more money coming in on a monthly basis that's going out. If you've got expenses of $5,000, you've got $50,000 a month coming in. You have a sense of financial freedom. You don't have a sense of financial freedom if you've got $50,000 a month coming in and 60 going out. And I've done that, maybe not to those figures, but you know, I've mismanaged money as well as anybody in the past. I've had to learn that lesson the hard way. But the first thing I look for is, do they have a dream? If I'm sitting down with somebody and I cannot find a dream, I'm probably not going far, unless I'm having a conversation about the product. So when I break the prospect base into two, people that just look for the product and then the business builders. For the business builders, I've got to find an emotional driver. I'm going to look for that. I'm going to work to understand so that I can help that person when he hits a wall, when she or he has a hard time. I'm going to take them back to the dream. That's the fuel in the tank. It's the emotional dream. It's not that these people are more resilient than those or anything like that, but they've got a very strong reason. Number two, are they coachable? Will they learn? Will they allow me to teach them and coach them? Now, if they're a brain surgeon, and I wanted to be a brain surgeon, I have to go and learn from somebody. But brain surgeons come into this business. This is a different craft to build a business. So I look for people who are prepared to learn and to be guided. Not that I have all the answers. I don't. I'm not saying I do, but I have some. I believe I can help people get to diamond, double diamond, triple diamond, probably through to ambassador triple. I can't say I can help people go beyond that because I haven't done that myself. But I look for people that are coachable, people that are willing students, keen to learn and understand the process of change, of development. I happen to feel that we're in a people business. I happen to feel it's about personal development, self-mastery, dealing with all your stuff, your fears, your doubts, procrastination, working on your mindset, your belief, being coachable. I found people that are not coachable don't go far.
Yeah.
And sometimes they boomerang back. I let them go. They go and do their own thing. And sometimes they come back and sometimes they don't. And they say, oh, that business doesn't work. Well, it does work. If you allow yourself to be humbled, if you like. I'm still humbling myself to learn, to get around people that have learned more than I do. Always it's about the growth. The third thing is they're prepared to do some work. It's not a get rich quick. It's not, oh, well, I want to make $1 million a year by the end of 2020. It's like there's a process to this. One of the things I remember from somebody I worked with many years ago when I first joined the industry, I asked them why it took so long for them to get to a particular level. It happened to be diamond. And they looked at me and kind of smiled like, you really don't understand the process here yet. And he said to me, I grew as fast as I could grow. And there's your answer. How fast can we grow? How fast can we deal with ourselves? How fast can we take ourselves on to grow? But those are the three keys that I look for. Generally, they're going to be people that are from a self-employed background. So let me just say this. I remember another analogy that I was taught years ago. You might find a Tim Tam in a rubbish bin, but it's not the obvious place to look. We are looking for builders, entrepreneurs, visionary people, people that have got courage, people that have got stamina, resilience, they've got the resourcefulness, they're generally free enterprise thinkers, they're prepared to work, they understand the process of being diligent, working towards something. I like to find people that are in the ranks of self-employed. I also like to find people like me, and that is people that have lost everything, or at least have gone backwards a long, long way, but have the willingness and the spunk to come back one more time. And I really enjoy helping those people because I understand what it's like to be without hope. I understand where that place is, that dark place when you wonder, am I ever going to get out? Am I ever going to get back again? Am I ever going to be able to climb again? Am I ever going to be able to, have enough money to not have to worry about my rent or make a car payment or be able to upgrade my car so I can at least drive for Uber? When you're in your, like I was 60 something, 61 with nothing. It was like, it wasn't a good place to be, but then I had to take responsibility for that. So I created it, but I also then learned, well, if I create it, I can create something different. I can recreate, I can reinvent, I can change my thinking, change my life, change my world, change my processes, provided I was prepared to learn and grow and develop, learn and work on my mindset again and be coachable and learn and humble myself to people that have gone before me and that have got it right or better than I had it. Anyway, back then.
It really is the key, because right now you're about to, hopefully we're going to dive into some of the nitty gritty of contacting, but unless somebody's really willing to absorb, it's just good information. And sometimes you have to hit a wall hard enough. And, I went out and tried the business in my own way for a little while, stumbled around, and I thought, what am I trying to reinvent the wheel here? I've got people willing to help me. I just need to ask and then absorb. And it seems like an obvious thing, but very few people are truly students. A lot of people really resist the free access to mentorship here. And it's a shame. So I encourage you to really just open up. And
there's reasons for that. There's ego. We've all got ego. There's ego. But when you've got no ego left, when you've got no pride left, I had all that stripped down. I lost everything. I started my journey to 130,000. I had no place for pride. My ego was stripped down. I had nothing left. It was all gone. So I was a blank canvas and I had to recreate. Could I have done a faster job? Probably, but I stumbled as best I could. 2016, when I just started, it wasn't an easy journey. I was dealing with my own demons, my own doubts, my own fears, about Mal. Here I was 61 and bankrupt. You can imagine how I was feeling. I wasn't feeling like, I can see that I'm going to be, triple ambassador. It was my biggest dream when I looked at ASEA back then was, I wonder if maybe one day, if, God willing, if maybe I could just reach triple diamond. That was it. That was the biggest dream I could think of. And that was huge for me when I started and just wanting $100 a week. So, but it's a process. And the other thing is that people want to do is get around people that dream bigger than you do. There's one thing I see with a lot of people in ASEA, they don't dream build anywhere near enough. I've had this conversation with some of my key guys over the last few weeks. People do not dream build. I spend at least 1 hour every single day working on my dreams, my vision, my movie, the life that I want, creating a life every single day. It's not work. That is the fuel that grows your business, being able to live in the dream, being able to recreate a dream, a vision, something that you want in your life, that you're prepared to deal with the people that are going to tell you no, the resilience to that for your dream. And the dreams will change, they grow. That's why it needs constant attention, because they do change as you go. The dreams that I have today are very much different to the dreams that I have, I had 4 years ago, for obvious reasons.
And in any other industry, those secrets are protected. You ask the top person in the other industry what they've done, how you can get there, and you really got to fight to try and draw that out. Whereas right here, it's on offer for everybody. So speaking of the coaching, I think let's move into the nitty gritty of contacting. Thank you for that backdrop, because I completely agree that unless you have a reason to do it, all this will just be arbitrary, But for those that have a really strong dream and have an urgency to get to it and are keen to learn, Mal, what would you, let's talk about what you do when you're contacting. Maybe let's go through some examples. What would you say when reaching out to a warm contact? Let's say somebody you used to work with, maybe somebody you kind of loosely remember or know.
Let me, if I can, just say a couple of things about this process of contact, connecting with people.
Sure.
Sifting and sorting process. What I would do is everything when you build a business like ASEA is reverse engineer it. Everything's got to be reverse engineered. So if somebody's on the call this evening and they're just getting started, they're maybe just relatively young, relatively new to the business, what I would be doing is I would be helping them to work on a goal, on an objective for the end of 2020. So, okay, tell me what you'd like to do. Now, it's got to be reasonable. So if somebody says, well, I want to be at your rank by the end of the year, no, that's not going to happen unless you know something that I don't. But in most cases, that's not going to happen. But to get to the end of the year, if you're just starting now, anywhere between bronze and silver are going to be good markers for you. So let's go with bronze. Let's go with the lesser of those two. Bronze in Australia, if you build it properly, is, let's say, $2,500 per month. Now, if you're starting in a business like this, and you're going to build a business that's going to have an underpinning of sustainability, of regularity, of solid growth, solid business, and that's what we want to have. You don't want to spike to a rank and drop back. You want to be able to build a base solid. So everything that I would do would then be to work that back. That would then give me, okay, how many people a week do we need to connect with? Because the process is mathematical. We know, for example, to get to the bronze level, we need to enroll, let's say 24 people personally. So, okay, we've got 4 months, September, October, November, December. We've got 4 months to do that. That's 6 a month. That's 6 people a month over 4 months. Again, these are the mathematical numbers. Now, for some of you, it might be a little less, and for some of you, it might be a little bit more. But those are good markers. Those are good guides. Then what I want to do is to say, okay, so in order to enroll 1.5 people per week, 6 a month, how many people do we need to connect with mathematically to make that happen? So, for example, when I started in the insurance business back in last century in 1980, I didn't know anybody in Queensland. They passed the yellow pages after 3 days of training, and they said, here's the yellow pages, mate, go stir up some dust. So I had to get into the yellow pages and learn all this, but this is what they taught me back in 1980. They said, Mal, you contact 10 people, cold call out of the yellow pages. 3 people out of the 10 will say, yeah, I'll have a look. Don't know what it is, but I'll have a look. Go out and meet those 3 people and you'll make 1 sale. Now, our business is not sales, but the mathematics are going to be roughly the same. If it's a warm market, it's probably going to be better than that. But let's say it's not better than that. And I want to enroll 1.5 people a week. That means I would need to contact 15 people a week to enroll 1.5 people. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I got to contact 15 people a week. So let's say I'm going to work in the business 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, however you want to do that. That means I've got to contact 3 people a day. Or if you don't want to do 3 people a day, you would do 2 phone sessions, maybe an hour and a half, and I've got to talk to 7.5 people or 8 people one time and 7 people the other time. It's 15 a week. It's not 15 once a month. It's not 15 when you feel like it. It's not 15 when the sun shines. It's not 15 when it's raining. It's just 15 people every single week. There's a math. Now, here's another gem that I learned many years ago. You can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. You can't say the wrong thing to the right person. The content of your conversation is not as important as having a conversation. To take the pressure off yourself, you don't need to get it all right. It's not about getting it all right. It's like you have a script so that you know where you're going. So I teach people a script. You can use your own choice of words, but the script is basically, if I'm talking about, business, I tell them a little bit about the company, the technology. And then my question is, John, may I ask, are you open to looking at other income options? It's a very good question. And if they say no, well, it's no. And I don't go and slash my wrist and cry, it's no. So here's how I respond to that. If somebody's not looking for me, I'm not looking for them right now. Most often I'll say, if they say no, say no problems. John, do you mind if I put you back into our database? Because I know people's circumstances change. Would you mind if I maybe reconnected with you in 3 months or 6 months' time? And very rarely will somebody say, oh no, don't do that. Because most people are aware that their circumstances do change. And the fact that they're not in the looking zone now does not mean that they won't be in the looking zone in 3 months' time or 6 months' time. So I always try and leave the door open with people. I don't burn bridges. Now, that's if I'm having a business conversation. If I've got a list, I'm working with somebody's list, 2 categories to a list. There are people you're going to talk to about the product, people that are unwell, people that need the product for their wellness. They might be an athlete. You might talk to them about the product. And then I'm going to talk to the business people. So I'm going to break the list down into those categories. So if I'm talking to somebody that's seriously unwell, I'm not having a business conversation with him. I'm not. I'm going to talk to him about the product, the breakthrough, and how this may be able to help him. But most people aren't in that category. Most people are in the other category of looking for other ways to develop an income stream. At least, in my opinion, they should be. But the process of making the call is sifting and sorting unemotionally. The challenge for most of us is that we can get emotional about the result. And Jim Rohn used to say, you have to learn to discipline the disappointments in a business like this. Learn to discipline the disappointments. We're all human beings. Every one of us has to deal with no. And when you can learn to deal with that as unemotionally as you can, that will lead to fortune when you do that on a methodical, disciplined process. The process of creating a large organization with ASEA is in the methodical nature of the process. It is a marathon, whereas a lot of people want it to be a sprint, especially the younger people. They want it all and they want it now. They don't understand delayed gratification. They've never seen a recession. So younger people understand that this is a process. You've got to stick with it. You've got to stay with the process through your journey of learning, through your journey of growth. I can just tell you that it's worth it. It's really worth it. But you're the one you've got to take on. The challenge with all of you on the call right now, the biggest problem you've got, person sitting in your chair. Biggest challenge that Mal Sword has is the person sitting in his chair, because it's what goes on in here. You know, all the stuff, you know, we tell ourselves, all the you know, the monkey chatter that goes on. Oh, you know, it's all that stuff. And you've got to learn to process that and get it right and listen to the information. I was listening to Dr. Joe Vitale, great book, Secret of Attracting Money. So just a very good work about setting your mind up. Secret to attracting money, but it could be secret to attracting entrepreneurs, the secret to attracting the right people. You know, that there's I could do a whole talk on that. It's about becoming the person that you want to attract.
Okay, so just going back to the list building, right? Because you would just mentioned that it depends on what kind of contact you're reaching out for. Would you mind just expanding a little bit? I know sometimes there's 2 categories of people: the health connection, where we're reaching out to somebody about their health, and then for some people we're talking about their health, but also the opportunity. Can you maybe explain to us a little bit, in your opinion? I know people build the business differently. What the core difference is between building a business focused on one or the other?
So from what I saw in 2016, and look, this is just my opinion on this. There's different opinions. This is an observation that Mal Sword has. From what I've seen in 2016, I was kind of confused whether I was going to build the business on the product and on the opportunity. And so I was vacillating between the two, and I was confused. Now, if I was confused, I was probably confusing other people. I was probably confusing the market. And it was working to some degree, but it wasn't working anywhere nearly as fast as I thought it was. My growth was, in my opinion, was a lot slower than I had expected or anticipated or wanted. And I got some clarity on how I wanted to build the business. And I worked out for Mal, I wanted to build the business. I wanted to build an organization based on understanding that an organization is built on finding people. You know, there's a great saying, you know, are leaders found or are they made? Now, I believe both. The right answer from all the books that I read is they are found. Leaders are found. Leaders are uncovered. I do believe there's a sense of growth, that you can train people, you can encourage people that want to learn, that want to be coached, that want to be helped. I was kind of definitely in that category. So I started moving my journey to that, looking for the multipliers. So from a strictly business point of view, the difference really is if you build a business around people that just want to use the product, you'll generally have a lot of customers. 1 + 1 + 1. And oftentimes people say this is a sales business. Well, if you're selling the product, people say, well, who sells the product? Well, we all buy the product. I've got people that just use the product. They just love the product, always stay on the product, love the product. And you can build it that way, but in my opinion, it's a little slower. Now, there are exceptions to that. What I've watched, people that have a serious health challenge, who've had a major turnaround because of the product. I'm talking about specifically about, Danny, because I've watched his journey and how he's built the business. Very powerful testimonial. But when you're 50 levels down in depth and you don't know him and you don't have, access to him, maybe it kind of diminishes. I knew somebody who 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 knew somebody, and this is what happened to him. Well, who is he? Oh, I can't remember his name. And so it diminishes the value of being able to do that. And that's what I was finding as I was growing the organizations, as I got further down in depth, that the impetus of the value of that personal testimonial diminished as I went down into the depths of the organization. Mm. So what I then decided to do was, I'm going to build this on, as I would build a traditional business, find the key people, leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries who get this. You've heard me say before, and I think it's a great statement, that building a business like ASEA, it really should be like waving raw meat in front of a savage dog. And if the dog doesn't bite at the meat, if he's not salivating, then you can take the meat away and he'll go, you can kind of tell. That's why I love building the business face to face, because I can look for people's, I can look at their eyes, I can look at their intention, I can feel where they're at. I've been doing it a long time. Maybe I'm a little intuitive with people, but if they're kind of going like, or not yawning, but looking around, they're kind of not in the right space. So I'm looking for the visionaries, I'm looking for the entrepreneurs, and they're the multipliers. They're the ones that will bring thousands upon thousands upon thousands down the track. Of course, it'll be tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people. And the principle behind that is that leaders attract leaders. Red apples in the presentation you've seen many of us show. Red apples attract red apples. It's to do with the law of nature, that you will attract who you are. Nothing wrong with taking it. If I see somebody who's really ill, well, of course I'm going to take the product to them as best I can.
No, that's really great. So maybe this is a good moment then to move into what you actually say. So if you are looking for an entrepreneur and you meet someone or you remember, let's talk about specifically, say somebody you have some kind of warm connection with. You remember them from a long time ago, and you think they might have that entrepreneurial spirit, or they might be looking for an opportunity. What do you say when you reach out to them?
So a lot of the calls I make are third-party calls these days for other people. So my call goes, let's say I'm making a call for John Smith, and I'm calling Bill. Let's say Bill. Hi, Bill. It's Mal Sword calling. You and I haven't actually met before, but I'm a friend and business associate of John Smith. And Bill will say, oh, yeah, great. How's Bill? I say, yeah, Bill's doing really well. Thank you. Excuse me. So, John, the reason for our call today is that John and I are in the process of expanding a very exciting technology, a cellular health technology, into the Australasian markets, both here in Australia and also up into a number of the Asian countries. This is an incredible technology. Many scientists are hailing this as the most significant health breakthrough since penicillin. It is a very significant breakthrough. Turnover 2019, we turned over 183 million US dollars, and we're projecting that we'll take that to $1 billion of turnover in the next 5 to 7 years. And we are looking for people to help us to do that, to drive this technology to the markets. John, may I ask, are you open to looking at other income options? And that's my question. So the preamble is just to give them some information. I'm going to give them some key words. I like the words like exciting or breakthrough, things that might pique their interest, because I have a window of opportunity on the call. But the question is, are you open to looking at other income options? Because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who do want to generate, more income, more cash flow. The other thing I just want to share with is when I start a new associate, some of you have heard this before, I will generally do 3, and it's not rule of thumb. Depends where I'm working in the organization, how strategic the position is. Sometimes I do more, sometimes a little less, depending on how fast they can pick it up. But I don't enroll my new associate and leave them to get on the phone. They don't know what to say. And so they end up talking to their best prospects and blowing them out the water because they don't have the skill set yet to be able to learn what to say on the telephone. Now, some people want to do their own calls. I get it. And they'll say, well, what are you going to say? Practice on me. What are you going to say? And I don't really know. I said, well, it's best if we do know, because then we can teach it. The whole process here is learn, do, teach. So if you've got somebody that's making up whatever on the phone, what's his prospect and what's his new associate going to say? So the process here is to teach something that's duplicatable. Part of building a very fast growing business, if that's what you want, is to produce things that are duplicatable. The contacting in a business like ours is the front end of growth. The more contacts that go into your organization every single week, no question about it, will produce the greatest growth. So if one organization is connecting with 100 people a week and another organization is connecting with 1,000 people a week, you know which organization is going to grow faster. And when you have a process of connectivity, of contacting, that is duplicated, taught and duplicated. So the first session, I make all the calls. So with John, I've enrolled John. I make all the calls. He's listening. And if he can be with me, better still, or he'll be listening on the Zoom. The second one, he'll then have my script. He'll make half and I'll make half. I'll make half the calls. He'll make half the calls. And I'll guide him and correct him. Maybe he's going to be talking too fast. Maybe he's tripping over words. Maybe using the wrong kind of words. Maybe he's asking people, are you interested? Or would you like to be, I don't ask those kind of questions. So I said, just come back to the script. And then the third phone session, he'll make most of the calls. I might make one or two. Phone session, generally an hour and a half, something like that. And we have a plan in the phone session that we want to get 6 lots of information out or 6 meetings booked. That's kind of a statistic that I use. Again, why? Because train the brain to have some sort of result. So if you ask somebody, we're going to do a phone session, what's the purpose of it? Oh, well, to get information out. How much? Oh, well, as much as we can. Again, the brain is non-responsive to that. It's like being financially free. Doesn't mean anything. Give it a target. I want to be financially free. I want to have $25,000 a month coming in. $25,000 a month, and assuming you got 5,000 or 7,000 going out, that's a sense of financial freedom if the income is residual. But it's specific. And it's the same thing with making a phone call. So everything I kind of do is got specific intention behind it. So it's not just like, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I instruct my brain, my subconscious, this is what I'm doing here. 6 lots of information out. Sometimes we do more, sometimes less, but I've got a goal in mind as to what we're doing with a phone session. So, it's just about the volume, and we're sifting and sorting, not selling. People think we're selling. No, we're sifting and sorting, going through the numbers just to find the right people. And it's a process.
So Mal, if somebody says, if you ask the question, are you open to an additional income stream? And they say, sure, yes. What do you say then after that?
Well, pre-COVID, and it depends on where they are. If they're in Brisbane, it's terrific. When is a good time for us to meet? Let's catch up over a cup of coffee, and I want to share some information with you. So that's my preferred option, to be able to sit down with people. I actually enjoy that. I really enjoy the process of seeing what I can do to help that person accomplish what he wants. Provided he's got a dream, he's got a work ethic, he's prepared to learn. So I like to do that. I like to be able to, dialogue with people one-on-one. Now, without the COVID thing, it's a little harder to do that. So I will then say, look, okay, I can do one of two things. I can text you some links or send you an email with some links, or alternatively, if they're open to listening in on a Discover ASEA presentation, that's another option. So there's lots of different options that we have of getting people in front of the information. Suffice to say, don't bury them in information. Some emails are so long, they've got so much information that people look at it and think, I haven't got time to look at that. If you sent me something with more than 2 or 3 links, I would look at it and think, I haven't got time for that. If you sent me a page of everything about everything, I would kind of tune out. It seems that texting's better these days than, people are busy. Yeah. People are very busy. I happen to think, this is a general statement, I happen to think that post the COVID, there'll be more people looking at our industry and coming into our industry over the next 2 or 3 years than ever. I'm not just talking about ASEA specifically, but we'll get we'll get a huge chunk of them, because people are going to be forced into the looking zone, whether they like it or not.
I think what's really interesting, and just wanted to highlight, you're not going, and drowning people in a biochemistry lesson. You're not going the molecule and the breakthrough. And I think it's definitely a mistake I made, and I see it repeated many times, where people try and be too front heavy with bedazzling somebody about the molecules, that they haven't connected with the most important thing is, what is this person's need? And if they have a need and we can help them discover that, then the breakthrough becomes exciting. So I think it's really interesting to note, you're not going down this science-y class in the first phone call. You're reserving that information for later.
Let me just share a couple of things, if I may, on that, because that's a very good point. This is a people business. People move product. Product doesn't move people. Even though we've got an incredible technology, we do. Incredible, not that I understand it all, but the results that I've seen are just mind-boggling, beyond description, from what I've seen. But if that was the case, then why does somebody who's had a life, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, let's say a major transformation in their health, why aren't there tens of thousands of people queuing at his door or her door? Why? It's not just about the product. It takes people a little while to understand that. This is about people. This is about developing organizations of people. And I'm not, when I say that, diminishing the value or the significance of this technology. We have it all. That's why I would not be involved in another networking business, because of the unique nature. But the building of the business, the construction of the business is about people. So the business is about numbers. Then it's about relationship. You can't have a relationship with everybody. It's too many people in your organization. And you can't have a relationship with everybody, because a lot of people just want to use the product and they want to be left alone just to enjoy the product. But the leaders and the builders and the drivers, it's important to find out what they want, what you can do to help them get there. Not phoning everybody every day and like that. I mean, but have a genuine interest in helping people get what they want. Zig Ziglar said it best. If you help enough other people get what they want, you will get everything. And that's absolutely true in a business like this. Mostly what we do in a business like ASEA is develop people, but it starts with developing ourselves. Develop us. The more I develop Mal, the more I can help other people to develop. That's how it works. The more I can work on me, my goals, my dream, and develop me, it means I can encourage people to draw them into what I've been able to do. There's nothing miraculous about what I've done, and I'm happy to share it with people who are prepared to listen. And if they're not, then that's fine. Jim Rohn used to say, how is it when a multimillionaire stands on stage, him, promoting and endorsing a book that was transformational in the success for him to become a multimillionaire? Why is it then that 95% of the audience doesn't go out and buy the book? That's the nature of what we do in business here. That's the nature of building an ASEA business. Most people won't follow instructions. I think they know it. They must know more than we do, but it's not. Find somebody. It's like walking through a minefield. If you got through a minefield and somebody else's footprints are going through it, I think it's a very good idea to follow them. I would like to just follow in Trish Swenkler's footsteps. Just follow her footsteps. It's like, well, there you go. There's a minefield. And walk through them. But some people are quite happy to wander away from the thing and get blown up. And they go, oh, that's a business's fault. Said, well, because people don't take responsibility. There's that word, big word. Responsibility, and your organization will be a reflection of who you are. Whether you like that or not, but it will be. I mean, I didn't like it in 2016. I thought I was better than this. But anyway, I had to cop that one as well. So, but that's what your organization ultimately will be. The great part about this is that we can grow. We're the only creatures on the planet. Freedom. We can become better. We can become stronger. We can change our thinking. If you've got stinking thinking, you can work on that. Get onto the audibles. Bombard your mind. 30 minutes, 1 hour a day, every day, every day, every day. Transform your thinking. You will transform your whole world. And I'm a proof of that. And lots of people also, if you spoke to Big Al, Alan Fitzgerald, I'm sure Big Al would say the same thing. His thinking today is totally different to where it was 4 years ago. Both of us, when we started, it was like kind of the blind leading the blind. The two of us. We just had some hope somewhere, and he inspired me, and I think maybe I inspired him a little bit. But he's the way that man thinks today is absolutely, totally different to the way Alan Fitzgerald thought a few years ago. Totally different.
Incredible.
He sees himself. It's been incredible.
Hey, I just wanted to, I would like to, we're in the pointy end of the hour, but I'd like to cover some objections, frequent objections that people get. But I just wanted to add that there are, some people don't use phone calls. A lot of people don't even answer the phone. I've built my business a lot kind of setting up a phone call with a text message first. I know a lot of people use Messenger. I think what's important is to find something that's already working. Different teams do different things, but find something that's already working for an upline who's a diamond and above, rather than go and reinvent the wheel. And, you've proven this method works, and certainly it's incredibly successful. And if someone's upline has a different script, just follow someone's script that has already proven results. I think we're not saying this is the only way of doing it. There's probably a few pathways up the mountain, but this is certainly a really well-proven successful path. You concur with that? And are you happy to cover some objections?
Some objections on that people have about the business?
No, I wanted to go, there were 3 frequent things that I get hit with. I'm sure you do as well. And I thought it might be a great way to wrap up this part of the meeting, of this presentation. What if somebody says, you got a new prospect and they're like, I'm ready to go, I'm very excited, but I don't have anybody to call. I don't have anyone. I don't know anyone in the world.
I had a lady a few years ago said that to me, and I said, are you on the Facebook thing? She said, oh, absolutely. I said, how many Facebook friends have you got? She said, oh, I maxed out at 5,000. I said, I think we're onto something. Look, everybody's got a list. The way the brain works and the way we teach people is, whatever the problem is, there's always a solution. Everything in life has an opposite, a yin and a yang. Everything's got an opposite. No list, we've got to create a list. You can create a list. I mean, back when I didn't know anybody, I had the yellow pages. I used to run around shopping centers trying to look at people's name tags. There's no shortage of people to contact. There's a shortage of desire. Look, here's the thing. Let's cut right down to it. If you had to enroll 24 new people by the end of the year, if your life depended on it, would you do it? And the answer is absolutely. Where would you find the people from? Who cares? Who cares? It's these things are furfies. People throw, I haven't got a list, I haven't got this, I haven't got this. Well, if you've got a desire, if you've got a reason big enough, you're fighting for the life of your child or your own financial future and security, you'll do what you have to do. There's no shortage of people to contact. There's always a way, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or Messenger or getting a yellow pages, just getting on the phone and contact. I did that for years and years and years. I didn't know anybody, just getting the phone and contact people. And you can imagine the rejection that I had for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. But, if I didn't make those phone calls, it was a commission thing. If I didn't make those phone calls, we didn't eat. And, my kids would have been very skinny. So they needed to eat. So I had to man up and do what I needed to do. So it just comes down to the desire, the method of how you build a business. Yes, Facebook, good. LinkedIn, good. Yep. Lots of different ways of being able to do it. Just do it. If you've got a reason to do it, figure it out. Find out some method in which you can cookie cutter that process and make it happen.
What about when people say, oh, look, I'm calling people, but they keep saying they're not into network marketing or they don't like our model?
Well, let me ask people the same. Do you think Mal Sword has the same thing? Of course I do. I'm going to call somebody else. It's like, you can try and dialogue with people, but if they're prepared to have a conversation, that's great. Mostly what we do in a business like ASEA is communicate and educate. But if people aren't prepared to open the door to communicate and educate, I find they're prepared to open the door of communication and education if they have a reason to build it, if they have a reason to listen to the business. If they don't have a reason to listen, then they won't listen. But mostly what we do is communicate and educate. But I have people say that to me. Oh, I don't want to build network marketing. I have people say it to me all the time. And if I don't think I can engage them in conversation to try and because I'm not going to try and sell them in. Because it's kind of what they expect. I said, well, look, no problem. Thank you very much. I wish you well on your journey. But invariably, the people that say that a lot of the times they don't have much. And anyway, so I don't persist. Does it happen to me? Yes. I don't have, people say I don't have time, I don't have this, I don't have the inclination, all the time. But, you know, it's just a process of going through enough numbers so you do find the people who are open to looking and are really needing to build the business. It's just a search that we go on. There is no, you're just going to have to go through the numbers. We all go through the process of numbers. And some people that said no to me years ago, you know, say yes now. It's like circumstances have changed for them. And I think, you know, for some people, they realize that, you know, I've done quite well, and they realize that probably had they joined me a few years ago, they probably would have done quite well. And so some of them are, you know, working to try and catch up now, which is great. But I didn't wait for anybody. I just kept looking myself and searching. And, you know, the people that have got the highest ranks have had the most amount of rejection, It's the fact that we've learned to discipline the disappointments in the pursuit of our dream. It's not, well, how do I get around it? I don't know. Just be resolute to the fact you're going to have to make a lot of contacts. You're going to have to go through the numbers. You've got to be convinced that it's worth it. You've got to know that it's worth it to do that, and be the kind of person that's going to be resilient to the negative, which is why the audible books work. The audible books for me put on my armor. It's not that the bullets aren't going to fly at me. That's naive to think that. They are going to come. The negative is going to come. I understand that, especially with a technology like this nobody's heard of. But the armor I put on from the audible means that the bullets ping off. They don't go in. It's like if I had no armor on, I would bleed and I'd be wounded all the time. I'd put on my strong armor, go to the market, get my mindset ready, okay? I get on the phone and I'm resolute. And I teach people to stand up when they make their phone calls, things like that. Stand up, air in your lungs. And I do a lot of phone sessions with other people because it gives strength to me and strength to them when we do it together. So there's another big key there. Do your phone sessions together.
Look, I think that you have had, as somebody said right here on the chat, so much gold. And just in wrapping up, because I know we could talk for hours, and I get a lot from this. Like I've got goals, I've got dreams, and to me it seems obvious to just go and literally, you know, leech off somebody who's achieved it. I think that you've shared so much here tonight. Thank you, Mel. But in closing, I'd like to ask you the biggest question. I think so many people sit down with us, they've sat down with you and they've said, I really want to do this. I'm so excited. I want to do this. I need to do this, you know, my kids. But they wander in and out. You've given us some great tips, and yet some people who desperately need to build this business will not take this information and use it. I just want to put my hand up and say, I want to stay committed. I want to find the discipline to build this business. I know there's people listening to go, I don't know why I keep wandering in and out. I just want to do this. I want to take this information and build a business. What's the key to staying on track?
The dream, always the dream. The greatest networker that ever lived, in my opinion, is a man called Dexter Yeager. And Dexter used to teach about building a business like this. It was a different organization, a different business, but the concept of creating organizations. This is what he said. Here are the 10 most important things that you need to have when you build a big organization. Number 1 is the dream. Number 2 is the dream. Number 3 is the dream. Number 4 is the dream. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the dream. People lose sight of their dream. They lose sight and they lose faith and they lose hope in the dream. The discipline to the activity, nobody really wants to build a business like this. It's not that you want to deal with a rejection. Who does? I mean, what are we, weird? It's not that. It's like when you go into a hardware store and buy an electric drill, you don't want a drill, you want a hole in the wall somewhere. You want the result of what it'll do. When you can set up a 6-figure passive income, when you visualize, when you dream about how life will be, ultimately, for me, it's not about being rich. It's about being free, totally free, and to the experiences that you can gather as a result of that freedom. Now, they've curtailed it a little bit, but under normal circumstance, the freedom that you can have building a business like this. But the reason people wander is they lose belief in themselves. They're not listening to the books. They're not working on their mind, because naturally the brain goes negative. And melancholies, and I'm a reformed melancholy, I still have to fight it. Melancholies gravitate to the negative more than any other personality type. So they need more books, more audibles, more learning, more coaching, more work on their mindset. But it's the drive to the dream. It's a drive to the passion. It's a drive to the freedom. It's a drive to the legacy. It's a drive to the example, the result. It's the drive to the whatever it is that makes you emotionally involved in the reason you're building the business. People say, I can't find it. You've got to find it. Go looking. Think about it. Think. Dexter used to teach us, firstly, you've got to teach people how to think, then teach them how to think properly. Most people don't think. They just go. Think. Where do I want to be at the end of 2021? This conversation I had with Stuart Walter tonight. End of 2022. Describe the life in these areas. Lots of different areas. How do you want to feel? Where do you want to live? Where's that home going to look like? Where do you want to holiday? Where do you want to vacation with? Who do you want to go there with? How do you want to do your life? Create it in your mind, direction. Okay, vision. You have a vision, dream, emotionalize it. Feel what it's like to live as a diamond or a double diamond, a triple diamond, when it's built properly. Feel what it's like to have a 6-figure income or a 7-figure income. Feel what that's like. Create the picture, create the vision, and think about it all the time. I dream build every single day, every single day. Now, if I'm still doing that, it probably means that other people, it would be a good idea if they do, and they don't. They think it's all about getting the right technique. My technique's never been good. I've always said this. My role is to find people that are way better at building this than I am. It's not to be the king, it's to be the king maker. But I'm resilient to the dream. I'm resilient to the purpose. I'm resilient to why I am building a business like this. And I'm resilient to being able to help and sow into other people's life. I love watching people succeed. I love it. I love watching being a part of people's success and thinking I've had a small part of being able to do that. Of course, the other thing I'm passionate about is the work that I do in Africa for the people that can't afford to do anything for themselves. And without my input in this little village anyway, there's a lot of people there. So that's very emotional for me. And I draw a lot of strength out of that. So when people are telling me, no, I'm not interested in your, weasel water or whatever they call it, and I'm dealing with all this. And what the heck am I dealing with these people? I have to be able at that time draw in, okay, because building the business means I can build more houses for those people. So you have to be able to draw on that resource, that energy of a dream and a resilience when you're dealing with the people that are interesting, if I could put it that way. Interesting people they are. I've read a lot of books to be able to say that. Not what I used to say. Interesting.
Well, that's a great place to wrap it up. There's been a lot of love on the chat. There's a lot of people saying thank you. I know that this has been a talk that will be a really great training to share with many people. And, there's a lot of fantastic scripts out there. Mal has shared his tonight. But the main thing that I'm really grateful you've covered tonight, Mal, is the mindset around contacting. And that's really where the gold is. So thank you so much for sharing. As always, really appreciate you. You're getting a lot of great feedback, a lot of love. So thanks so much for sharing. And Mal will be doing the Discover ASEA presentation this Wednesday evening. That is at 7:30 Queensland time, 5:30 in Singapore and Malaysia. Look for your time zone. Mal will be doing the Discover ASEA, so make sure you plug your prospects into that presentation, and we look forward also to Christine Wong sharing Discover ASEA on Asia time zone 8 p.m, Malaysia and Singapore later on this evening. Thanks so much, Mal, and thank you everybody who joined. Really appreciate it.
Love to the babies.
I'll let them know.
Good night, everyone. Good night. Wish you